on a decent weather Thursday afternoon. Myself and some others within IT and IM, we are excited to talk to you about OneDrive. So you've already moved your email into Office 365. Some of you have done that copy paste from your U Drive up into OneDrive. Now we want to talk about a little bit more about what you can be doing within OneDrive and how to encourage the rest of you who haven't moved your files yet to move your files, please. So what we're going to chat about, I can move it, advance my slide. There we go. So we're going to discuss what is OneDrive, at least in the context of the county, how you can access it, where do you keep your files, and most importantly, where are you not supposed to keep your files. And we're going to discuss retiring Proofpoint. You may have been getting some alerts that your Proofpoint shares are expiring and that Proofpoint is going away. So we have a solution for that. Spoiler, it's OneDrive. And we'll discuss a little more about what it means to share externally from OneDrive. And I'll give you some resources for some more training or some policy information if you want to be able to refer to some print or some more video about how to use OneDrive. And then that OneDrive demo. So what is OneDrive? In the county, we're using it as a direct replacement of U Drive. So everything that you're used to doing within your U Drive and keeping within your U Drive space, now please do that within OneDrive. OneDrive is a cloud-based file saving, so it's wonderfully within the Microsoft ecosystem, and it's going to let us keep everything nice and close together within Microsoft. It's a secure file sharing, both internally and externally, as I already alluded to. So you can share files live between your colleagues. You can link them in documents. It's a good way to save all that through an encrypted means. And it's accessible from both File Explorer and Edge browser. So depending on what you're comfortable with, you can keep using File Explorer, no different than how you did your U Drive, or you can unlock some really cool features within Edge browser and access your OneDrive from there. So in the demo, I'll show some information about both methods. Furthering our work that was started with WellDocs, and that's how you know Sean, we are moving into that new realm of work, new ways of working. OneDrive is included in that wonderful Microsoft ecosystem where we have real-time collaboration on our files. So you can have more than one person working on a file at a time on those working documents or even on your records that are within WellDocs. Version control and history. So no need to keep 5 versions of the same file anymore. You can go through the history of the document and see when the last big changes were made and choose to revert to that or not. Enhanced searching, putting your files in OneDrive lets you search across the entire Microsoft space for your files. We know how horrible search is within File Explorer, but within Microsoft online, we can go ahead and search across everywhere that you have access. So if you're not sure if your file is in OneDrive or within WellDocs, you can search for it and then you'll be able to find it. And something that we love in IT and IM, enhanced data privacy and protection. Everything's encrypted and backed up in very meaningful ways that work for us. So where can you access your OneDrive? As I've already said a couple times, you can access it from File Explorer. So wonderful screenshot here. In your left-hand navigation from your File Explorer, you can see OneDrive is highlighted here, and you can set it up the exact same file folder navigation that you had in your U Drive and set that up for yourself within your OneDrive. Or you can access it from Edge. By opening a new tab in Edge, you can click the little waffle symbol in the top left corner, and you can see all of your files within OneDrive that way. You can also look at files that are shared with you or favorites from different sites and places that you've been. So a bit more functionality within Edge, but again, if you're comfortable, you can keep using File Explorer and access your OneDrive that way. So where do you keep your files? What goes where? Everything that's supposed to be within WellDocs are those that are considered county records, things your team or others may need to do your job if you are absent, or things that need to be filed according to the proper document retention protocols. Those sorts of things that would be considered a county record that's important to the county as a whole, or your department or your team, those need to be within WellDocs. So again, you're familiar with Sean. Sean helped you out in a content reorg and all of those all those different sessions on how to set up your Well Docs in a good way for your team. We did that so that you can go ahead and use it as effectively as possible. Now, OneDrive is where you can keep your personal records, any of your working records, things that you just need to share kind of on the side that's not quite done yet, or you're not sure if it will ever be a record. Reference documents from any courses you've been on, or any templates or things that you're trying to make work for your team but aren't ready yet, those can go within OneDrive. Um, OneDrive, because we have access to it from our File Explorer, is synced quite frequently between your computer and within the cloud, whereas WellDocs is entirely up in the cloud. So that's why those two symbols are different there. Where do you not keep your files? This is important. Do not keep your files on your computer. Your computer is never backed up. Your computer is never cloud synced. So if something happens to your physical computer, everything that is saved into My Documents, your desktop, anything on your computer, gone. IT cannot get that back for you. Everything needs to be in your OneDrive or within WellDocs. Cannot stress this enough. Please do not keep things on your computer. Thank you. All right, so I already chatted a little bit about retiring Proofpoint. We know that Proofpoint, the application itself, and is going to be retired on September 30th. So any shared files that are within Proofpoint now will expire before or even after that date. So we got to be careful not to be adding anything new to Proofpoint because we're approaching that 30 days between September 30th and August 30th. So we got don't share anything more during that time. And now we're going to begin sharing externally using OneDrive for all. This is a new feature that has been turned on very recently, that external sharing is opened within OneDrive. So why OneDrive? Because OneDrive also allows for individual file and folder sharing, and there's no upload required. So if your files are already in OneDrive, you can just link it out and you can go ahead and share from there. It has an encrypted 30-day sharing, just like what Proofpoint does, and it's built into the Microsoft ecosystem. So that means that there's no additional login required for you or anybody else that's you're sharing with. So OneDrive is a pretty good solution for us if you're sharing individual files and folders to external parties. So I'll go over in our demo how we're going to be sharing externally and how you can set permissions on your files when you're creating that external link to share. Okay. Some resources that we have available to you. On the Well, we have underneath Home and the Tools and Resources, we created a page that has a bunch of information on the new Microsoft work environment, about Microsoft 365, WellDocs, OneDrive, and any sort of big changes that are coming within those applications that we rely on. And then IT's Learning Management System, Quick Help, has a skill path just for OneDrive. So you can go ahead and get yourself more comfortable about how to navigate, upload, share, and how to use the system within the browser. So you can go a little bit deeper than what I'm going to do today if you want to do that. So both of these are available from the Well, and I invite you to go ahead and do some digging after the demo. Okay, speaking of the demo, I get going to that. Okay, so how do we access OneDrive? We can get to OneDrive through File Explorer. So my OneDrive is right here. So along my left hand, I have it here, and you can see that I have all of my yellow file folders that were exactly the way they were within my U drive up in my OneDrive space. The status bar here lets me know if any of these folders or things, if I've touched them recently, either online or through a different application, what the status syncing is. So has it been synced to my computer and I can keep going and working offline on these documents, or is it strictly in the cloud at this moment until I go in and retrieve a file? So most of the time, do not worry about this. unless you're taking your stuff offline to work, which we can cover that in a skill path. So that's again bit more of a deeper dive. One thing that I do have within here, and we'll show you in a little bit, is WellDoc shortcuts. I want you to pay attention to this folder throughout a bit of my demo. So this is how you get to it within your File Explorer. How you get to it within Edge, click on your Edge, open a new tab, or anywhere within the Microsoft app space. You can go in here and click OneDrive. And now we're in OneDrive. So this is your dashboard. It lets you know any of your recent documents, things that you are working on quite frequently or shared with you. If I go into my files, this shows me the exact same yellow folders that we saw over in my File Explorer, and even all the other things, and lets me know the sharing on those. So if I've had any folders or files that I have shared out, it lets me know which ones and to whom. Or if it's shared with me, who is the owner of it if it's not me. And another thing that's really cool over here is the shared space. So if you are shared a document and you're not sure where it is, you can always click on shared with you and see things within here. So I can see that Liz keeps shared with me recently a biweekly report that we do for Dave. So if it's not within my OneDrive, it's been within Liz's. So we can go ahead and work on it here. Other things I want to cover is within OneDrive, we have what's called file linking a library. So in my WellDocs for IT, I can go ahead and add my project documentation library to my OneDrive, so that instead of me having to navigate in and out of here all the time to grab files if I'm uploading them to a website, I can go ahead and add this as a shortcut to my OneDrive. See, it's in my OneDrive now. I can go over here and I can take a look and see project documentation right there. I'm really well organized, so I tend to do this. I grab it and I move it to a special place called my WellDoc shortcuts. So all of my WellDocs libraries that I have shortcuts to, I keep them in one spot so that when I do, sorry, you're behind here, so that when I do need to upload files, I can find them pretty quickly instead of going through my massive list of yellow folders. So let's see about uploading a file quickly. I'm going to send Rachel, she's not in, but I'm going to send Rachel a file through my OneDrive. So I can go ahead and go open and grab from my OneDrive a random file here I'm going to send to her. So I'll send to her our PSP process. There we go. Just like that. I don't need to go digging into a WellDocs library to get something or send things from my OneDrive. And if I wanted to send something that was within a linked WellDocs, I go in here and I can grab from project documentation and grab something quickly within here, and I can send this to Rachel as well. So that was within my WellDocs that I just sent to her through Jabber. If I wanted to download anything, it would be the same process. I would grab this, go File Save As, and pick my library. Okay, so now we're going to move on to how do I share things. So I'm going to go into this folder here, or this one here. I'm going to share this file internally to Peter. So I have a choice of either directly typing in his name here, and I can grab Peter from this list and share it with him this way. And this will send it to Peter in an email with the link. Or if I wanted to grab the link and write my own email and put it into the body of the email, I would just go copy link. And now I can paste it into my email. But say I didn't want Peter to have access to change anything in my file, I can go into the more settings and say he can only review. He can view but can't make any changes, or I don't want him to download this. I can choose any of those functions from down here. So I could also set an expiration date for when I'm sharing things with Peter or with anybody. And if it's something that is either like a team document, but you know that somebody on that team may need to share it elsewhere or kind of go outward from your circle, you can click people in the County of Wellington. So if you're sharing notes or a project documentation, you can click this, and that means anybody after that, so long as they're with the county and they click on that link, they can go ahead and access that document. If you want to kind of lock it down just to your team, and those are those who really have existing access to wherever this is, if it's within your Docs, you can go here. But if I go people that I choose, I can go back and through external sharing, I can send it to amymalinchuk@gmail.com. And it gives me a nice alert that that email address is outside of our organization. So it's an external link that I'm creating. And we set an expiration date of 30 days. I can do it automatically. And then I go ahead and hit send. So that is similar to how you, or a similar end result as to how you send things through Proofpoint, is you pick your file you want to go share, and then you add that external email address to it, and you can set the permissions that you want them to have to access it. Now, those who are more prevalent users of Proofpoint, we can definitely talk more about how we can adapt your process or how we can go through those permissions. IT and IM are available to discuss that with you. But for the purposes of our demo today, we just wanted to kind of go over quickly that Proofpoint is retiring and that there is a solution. It is through OneDrive external sharing. And also to give you a good idea of how you can do other things within OneDrive. I am going to open up these last 9 minutes or so for any questions from folks. If you had anything that you thought I went over too quickly or anything along those lines, please go ahead, come off mute and ask a question. If nobody's going to ask a question, then I'm going to ask Aiden or Colleen to ask a question.
Could there be more flames on the desktop?
Yes.
Slide. I
yes.
also
there is
promised
also
some staff a tornado, but there was no tornado.
I'm sorry, I couldn't figure out how to get the animation going for the proper spiral. So it's insane for a drop. Like I was trying to figure out if I can have a cliff and then the computer falling off a cliff. So yeah. Colleen, did you have any questions about OneDrive?
Yeah, Amy, I was just going to mention that until I got a chance to kind of go in to see where you're, if you said in Docs that there's some assisting documents to help us kind of review this, because to be honest, like you went through it and made it sound really easy, but I know the first time I'm going to try and do this, it's not going to be as simple as what you just made it look like. So if there's like step-by-step guides and whatever on how to do this, because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by how fast this went, but
Sure.
I just want to go look at those documents. So I'll be in touch if I can't find what I'm looking for.
So I described.
I can promise, I can attest that it's actually a lot. It is really simple and quite easy. I don't like change. I don't like technology, but I'm really enjoying my OneDrive.
So this is me going quickly to tools and resources and showing you where you can find the information about the OneDrive policy and some information about the Microsoft Work applications, who to contact, the different information about how to set up your OneDrive with Docs, linking your libraries. And then also within Help Desk over here, we have Quick Help. And Quick Help has that OneDrive skill path with videos, and there's even some where you can pause and you can follow along on how you do things. So I'm going to go search OneDrive and go skill path, meet OneDrive. And it's all right here. So there's some parts where you kind of do learn about what it is, how to navigate, and how to upload your files. So this one's a very nice high level. You can pause and follow along within your own OneDrive if you need any more, or somebody to go a little bit slower than I did when it comes to doing the demo. Now, one thing that will be happening is I'm going to be working with Krista to give OW a deadline, because moving your files to OneDrive is required. We are going to be getting rid of your U drives. So we're going to work on a deadline for your department to have all your files moved, copy and pasted from your U drive up into your OneDrive. And then we'll go back and we will remove access to all of your U drives. And then we will be removing U drives. So Chris and I are going to come up with a reasonable timeline and reminders along the way that you have 3 days left, 2 days left. It's happening tomorrow. Seriously, folks, move your files. Those sorts of emails, okay? And within your Office 365 migration that we did, we offered up a process where IT ran a script that would grab your PST files, so your email archive files. Those cannot be moved to OneDrive. It's not an acceptable file type up there, but you can import them into your Outlook. So if you haven't done that yet on your own, please follow the instructions that are on the well on how to import your PST files. If we need to, I can also resend the email about how to do the PST files on your own. And more information if folks, your PST files are just too big and it's taking too long to import yourselves. I can see about including OW with the housing group when they are doing their PST pickup, okay? Because once we remove your U drives, you're not going to have access to those email archives anymore. You need to make sure you have moved them into your Outlook following those steps or using that PST pickup process. When we ran the PST pickup, we only had 2 people in OW take advantage of it. So I'm hoping that people just don't have a lot of email that they need to import into their online archive and that you already did it all yourselves. But if you haven't, please follow those instructions. Claudette?
Amy, I think there's a question from Claudette in the chat.
In the chat, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. I think that's why she raised her hand.
No, if they send an email outside of County of Wellington, will they require a password as well? No, because the email, the link, you have it set up to go only to that individual. So that link can only be shared and used by somebody with that email address. So long as they've clicked the link in their email, so amymalchuk@gmail.com, if I go into my Gmail, click on the link that's shared with me, it will then come up and as a verified that it's me, because Gmail verified it's me. Now I can go ahead and access that link. So no password is needed for external users to access it, so long as they are the one accessing it from their email. And the email will not be deleted upon expiry of the link, but the link will no longer work. So if it's after 30 days, then go ahead and click on the link. They will get a notification that says this link is expired or the file cannot be found, something along those lines. And Peter, I think you had something to add about MFA. Did you know a little bit more about the external sharing than I do?
Of course, happy to support.
Sure.
So when you send them, when they click the link, depending on the email, I guess what they have set up on their end to verify they say they are, they may be subject to that. So for most mail services now require you to have multi-factor authentication. So when you try to log in, when you try to get access to that link, then Google would ask you to, do multi-factor authentication, which is usually sending you an email to put in the code or sending you a text message to put a code. So just preparing whomever you're sending it to for that possible experience is important. But it's based on what they've set themselves. It's not based on what we set on our end.
And a good way to test what it looks like for the end user is to go ahead and, if you are comfortable with it, send a test file to a personal or a home email address and say, just testing external sharing, and send it to yourself, and that you can verify what it looks like on the receiving end. Okay, we're at time, folks. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to stop recording. All right.